We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah.
Sweet. I think we're ready to start with this amazing topic, right?
Fonzie, what's the story you got? What story you got first? Because I know that you had like, we were preparing this episode for about 30 minutes, and then you're like, "Are you ready?" And you're like, "No, I need a story. I need a good story."
We needed a good story to start, but before we actually start this, right? I want to make a little disclaimer. Actually, I want to make an invitation for people that are listening right now.
Ooh,
I want you to join us in this process. Why do I say process? Because literally right now, today, we came up with this like movement. We've actually said this stuff, like this phrase, for a while now, but we didn't put like the meaning that we wanted behind it. And today, things clicked. Things connected in our mind.
Yeah, we got excited. We actually started jumping all over the studio.
And dancing,
and doing some push-ups. And we're like, yes, I think we got this. So every time we do something like this, we go through this process where we get those thoughts from our head and express it to each other. But today we actually wanted to do it with you guys together. We want you to be part of this process with us.
That's right. So what we're doing today is literally we are putting our thoughts into words so we can find the real meaning, right? We know exactly what this full movement is about, and we want you to be a part of it, and we want you to join us in this amazing movement that starts today.
Yeah, we actually want to invite you to actually do this process yourself. If you are struggling with publishing, or you want to publish, or you want to publish more, go ahead and try this, right? Because as soon as you start going live or recording videos and posting them, right, there's some thoughts that you have in your head and they're not clear until you actually say it in front of people. Actually, when you say it in front of a camera, maybe, right?
Yep.
So this helps. And for us, that has been true with the 245 lives that we've done. That has been true with the podcast that we've done. The first 20 episodes is just me and Fonzie just chatting it up and maybe fighting here and there. But, that's what allows us to put those thoughts into something solid. And then after the episode, we're like, wow, that was clear. That's clarity. Or if it doesn't, right, we're like, okay, how can we rethink this so it actually makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely one of the best benefits of publishing.
Yes.
So that being said, I think it is time we dive into this little story, right? That we came up across, a few months ago, actually, for the first time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of you guys are going to know who we're talking about.
Maybe.
But, this person, after they graduated college, they got a door-to-door sales job, right?
I was going to say, like, what, door-to-dub? What's
door-to-dub? Yeah, I don't know what that is. But they got a door-to-door sales job, and he was actually doing around 50 cold calls every single day, right? So for those out there that have tried cold calling,
yes,
it can be probably one of the least pleasant experiences, full of rejection, but at the same time, it builds up.
I know that you were terrified to start doing cold calling.
Oh, I had to mentalize myself to start doing cold calling, right? So this person had to do a bunch of cold callings. Eventually, he moved out, he quit that job, and he moved out to a different job, which was selling houseware, right? And he was really, really good at selling. And one day when he was looking at the reports, he noticed there was this little company they were buying a lot of their
product. It was like every single day he would receive orders from this little company, and he's like, what? Why are these guys buying so much?
Yep. So he immediately got super curious about it, right? He's like, such a small company placing such big orders, and they were placed in Seattle. So he's like, let me go check them out. So he hopped in a plane, he flew to Seattle, and he got to the market where this little company was, right? And he noticed it was a coffee shop, actually, right? They were roasted. They were serving, I think they were giving samples at that moment in the store. They weren't actually selling the full coffee drinks.
Yeah.
And they would sell the coffee beans for people. So he absolutely loved the business model, right? And what they were doing. So this guy decided, I'm gonna work for this company. And he started calling the owners, hitting the owners up, and he's like, hire me, I want to work with you guys. And they were like, no. Yeah, they're like, we don't need help.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with FONZI. I mean, I started doing this thing, and then FONZI's like, come on, bro, let me work with you. I'm like, nope. Nope.
Yeah,
You're my little brother.
If you guys heard the story, you guys know it is the other way around. So this guy was relentless.
Yeah.
He was what we call right now table face.
He kept calling, and the guy's like, we don't have a position for you.
Yep.
We don't know where to put you. And they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, I will like work my booty off. I will create a new position. They're like, just create one for me. And like, no, there's no spot for you in this company.
Yeah, that's right. And why was he doing that? If he saw the potential of this company, massive potential, and he decided to be relentless and search for this opportunity. To not search. He was relentless to get this opportunity, right? Just grab it and making it happen correctly. Yeah. So in 1982, he actually managed to get the owners to say, okay, you can work for us. We're going to give you a marketing position in the company and you can do your own thing, right? So fast forward a little bit. He actually he decides to, hey, let's open another location. Let's do this. And he starts changing the company little by little. He starts going to Europe and going to other coffee shops and seeing the culture around coffee,
the environment
in Europe.
He saw people like sitting outside in these benches, little tables, enjoying a social time, right?
Yep.
And he's like, wow, why don't we have that back home? This might be a really cool thing to actually start implementing, right? And then he flew back, and then what happened? Well,
when he flew back, he went and met with his owners, and he presented the idea, hey, we should do this. This is the business model. This is going to be the future of coffee shops, right? It's going to be like this. And the owners were like, no, we like it. We just like our stuff. We like it simple and whatnot. And eventually that led to pretty much them separating, right? And him going on his own to create his own coffee shop. Now, who are we talking about? Are we ready to say who are we talking about?
If you're watching live right now, do me a favor and actually put it in the comments. Who are we talking about? This guy, used to work for a different company, a little summary, right? Saw this like other company buying a ton of his product every single day. He's like, why are they buying so much? Why are they investing so much money, right? And then after that, he's like, decides to go check him out. He's like, wow, these guys are just selling like these coffee beans, but it's incredible how much they're selling. And then, relentless. Hashtag table face continues to call these owners, and he's like, I want to work with you guys. I want to work with you guys. I want to make this happen. The guys are, no, absolutely no, we're not going to make this happen. And the guys like just continue to do it. And finally, they actually created like this like position for him, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of history now.
Wait, no. There's a little bit more. I want to add a little bit more, actually.
Do it. Say it.
So he split up. He's like, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing because these people... maybe they don't have the same growth mindset that he had, and he decided to open his own coffee store, right? He had no salary at the point. He was living off his wife's salary, right? Talk about being table face right there.
That's a good wife too. I don't know if Katie would let me do that. By the way, we have some comments here saying, hey, no idea, but I'm guessing it's the founder of Costa.
Oh, interesting.
Good guess.
Stay tuned so you know.
Good guess.
So he actually decided to look for investors to grow his coffee shop, right? And he said he heard more than 200 no's, right?
200?
200. Imagine how does it feel to be rejected 200 times and keep going.
That was my college career.
Right?
That was my college.
Dear, your college. College love life.
That's my college. Katie, thank you. I love you. Thank you for saying yes.
So this guy got rejected 200 times. That is impressive, right? And he kept going. And that's what we call table face, right? He kept going. Eventually, people started believing in his story, his relentlessness, and they started investing in him, right? By 1987, he had 3 espresso bars called Il Giornale. That's like Italian. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Il Giornale.
That means a newspaper. But hey, keep in mind, the first date that we gave you guys was 1983. So 5 years later, right? Is that 5 years? No, 4 years. 4 years later, that's when he actually got. So 200 no's. 4 years later, it does take time. Hashtag table face.
Hashtag table face.
What else?
So eventually, he got to buy the company that he used to work for, right? These people that didn't have the same growth mindset that he had. He decided, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy this company, right? Because he loved the name, he loved the company, was where he started as well, right? And he says, and I'm going to grow this in a crazy, insanely way. And that is the beginning of pretty much is a trendsetter company.
Yeah.
It's a staple company in the US.
$1 billion
I'll
right
say
now.
in the world too, actually. Yes.
In the world. I think it's the world.
It is Starbucks. And the name of this person that we're talking about, his name is Howard Schultz. So super impressive hashtag table face story.
Relentless. I remember the first time I've heard this story. You know, they teach you about like the 200 no's and all the loans that he never got. But you know, we were able to listen to this episode of this podcast that we love. It's called Business Wars, right? And they describe these things about 6 episodes. We absolutely love it. We highly recommend it for you guys to like go in and dive in because there's a lot that we can learn from it. And they were actually sharing this story, and we're like, wow, this guy never took a no for an option. 200 no's. These guys saying, you cannot work for us. And then at the end of the day, he ended up buying the company, right? And growing it to the like massive monster that they are now.
Yeah.
And taking all our money because
this is pre-Starbucks, right? The part of the story that we talked about was pre-Starbucks. Now imagine all the no's, all the challenges that he went through, and you know the personality, the attitude that he needed to stick with that company for that long and grow it to the point that what it is today, which is absolutely impressive.
So we have a couple questions coming in, and you know, one of those is like, what's the table face reference to? And that's exactly what we're explaining in this episode.
That's exactly what we're going to explain right now after that story of Howard Schultz that we talked about, right?
So you know, most of you guys know that we're not from here, from the US, right? We're originally from Venezuela, and Venezuelans, for some reason, we have a lot of different sayings, weird stuff that we say, right? And every time I do something like that in front of my wife, she's like, "You are insane." She's Canadian, she doesn't understand it, right? But here at our office, they're like, "Oh my God," they make total sense because obviously we're Venezuelans, right? So table face is when.
Yeah, and this is the part where we're doing what we talked at the beginning.
Extracting our thoughts and putting them here into ideas, right? So bear with us for a second, right? It's when you actually take action, relentless action, and make things happen, right?
Relentless action without the fear of certain consequences, right?
Exactly.
And we're putting this obviously morally and ethically into the good side of things.
So I'll tell you a little story to kind of paint this in our own scenario, right? So before coming to the US, you know, we both played soccer for a long time. Our dream was to be professional soccer players, right? So when life happened, and you guys can go back in the episodes and actually listen to those in detail, right? We ended up back home being like, oh shoot, okay, the professional dream is not happening. Now, what can we do to actually, you know, take advantage of us playing soccer at a very high level and search for new opportunities, right? So we come from a family that always gave us amazing opportunities, but our dad grew up in this very small town, very small city, right? And he was like, you guys always have to be humble, right? Like, you guys always have to like put your head down and work. And yes, to a point, that's very, very, very important. But at the same time, in this competitive world that we live in, we have to learn to sell ourselves. And if you're a business, you have to learn how to sell and market your products, right? Which is the point of this whole podcast. So we're like, okay, we're faced with this decision. Either we stay in this crazy country right now which we love, by the way, but the political situation is too crazy, right? It's a dictatorship, whatever. Like, we can go like down the rabbit hole now. I don't want to really do that. And then it's like, how do we use our expertise in this sport to actually look for new opportunities? So we're like, okay, you know, we can use soccer to actually get scholarships outside of the country. It could be United States, it could be Canada, it could be Europe, whatever, right? So we decided to put our hats and hashtag table face and go out, right? And write a ton of emails with our own videos. And send them directly to each and every one of the D1 soccer schools here in the United States.
D1, D2. I'm going to explain because we have very similar, obviously, stories on how we reached out to people. But I'm going to give you guys the idea so you have an idea of like what we did. We went into the NCAA website And we looked at the list of all the teams, all the schools that had soccer. Then we went individually into each one of those school websites. We searched for the email of the coach, and then we put it on a spreadsheet. And we did that with over 200 schools. And then we proceeded to email each one of those schools individually, because again, you don't want to mass message things. You want to make it personal, and that's a marketing lesson right there. You want to make it personal.
Yeah.
And we email individually each one of the coaches, right, with our video saying what, who we were, how we could help their team. And
here's the funny part. When we actually started sharing this story here in the US with different fellow players and different people around that community, first off, we had no idea that D1 was, a very small percentage of American kids get to play in D1 and stuff like that. They were like, how dare you? Why would you do that? This is insane. How will you guys put yourself out there with these videos or whatever? And we're like, look, we're looking for that opportunity.
Yep.
We have to get out there. We have no outsider help. We don't have recruitment camps back in Venezuela that could put us here. So what is the route that I need to take? The shorter route that I need to take to talk to the decision maker, which in that case is the coach or the assistant coach, right? So we're like, okay, let's actually send them this email directly to them, right? And then can we find out the phone number? Maybe. Can we find out the other information that we can reach out to? In that case, because we're outside of the country, it was the email. Guess what? Out of those 200 and something emails that we actually sent with our videos and marketing ourselves to these coaches, right?
Yeah. How many did answer your emails?
Less than 10% for sure.
For me, the ones that answered, and these are the ones that answered with an offer. Only 2 emails.
Yes.
Only 2 schools answer my emails with an actual offer for me to come here and play for them. And one offer we couldn't afford, and we're like, this is out of the table. So we were left with one. And that is why I ended up in Wichita Falls, Texas, my first year. Because that was the only school that, gave me the option of playing for them with that scholarship. And guess what? If I didn't send those 200 emails, I wouldn't have that right now. And who knows where would I be right now?
So with Table Face, it's no shame, relentless, right? Let's be open about who we are. Let's be ourselves in front of these people. So that's where the expression come from back home. Yeah. So all these elements, right?
So let's say in our teenage years, right? When people would use oh man, you're such a table face. What it meant is you pretty much didn't care about the consequences and getting no's for an answer, right? Exactly. So example, you were at a party, you were dancing, and you found this girl being very attractive, and you're like, I want to talk to. You're like, I want to go talk to that girl, right? And you would go.
I thought it was a little kiss.
So you would go. I mean, I'm going to leave that to the imagination of the audience. Yes. But you would go and you would talk to her and you would say whatever you wanted, whatever came to your mind, right? And people were like, oh man, you're so table faced. Because you don't care if she says no, right? You just put yourself out there. Yeah. And guess what? But it is normal to get more no's as an answer, but eventually you'll get that yes that is going to make you feel absolutely amazing, and you're training that muscle. You're training that muscle of people saying no to you.
We've mentioned this in previous episodes, right? We talked about why outgoing people or extroverts, right?
Yep.
Have more opportunities because they put themselves out there a little bit more. They're being table faced, right? They don't care what other people say as far as no, they don't care about judgment, right? They go out and look and make these opportunities happen, like Howard did with Starbucks, right? He was like, heck no. I don't know how long he's gonna say. I believe in this product. I believe in this. I believe in me, in my concept. I know I can grow this, so I'm actually gonna go and make this opportunity happen. Right?
Yeah, and I love that you brought the topic of the extroverts, right? Just so you guys know, we actually read about that for the first time in a book called Barking Up the Wrong Tree by a guy named called Alex Barker. And absolutely amazing book, totally recommended. FONZI's book recommendation. We need a button that says that. But so you guys know, you might be saying to yourself right now, oh, but I'm not an extrovert, I'm an introvert. Wait a second, just so you know, majority of people, and I'm talking 90% range of people, are actually ambivert. What is ambivert? What does that mean? Well, ambivert means that you are equally both. You can be introvert in certain scenarios, and you can be an extrovert in other scenarios, right? So knowing that is actually, I think that's actually a bigger advantage, right? Because introverts stay working in their craft silently, which is absolutely awesome. And then some of them, their work get discovered and they become, you know, these geniuses that like people look up on like, whoa, he is a genius, right?
Love it.
But the extroverts, they're just putting themselves out there and they're winning, right? And a lot of introverts see these people and they're like, wow, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be that successful, right? But most of us, we're ambivert. We can actually do it. We can actually switch from introvert and extrovert and put ourselves out there and embrace risk and embrace, you know, rejection. Yeah. So I encourage you guys to go out there and do things that are actually scary sometimes, right?
Yes.
And put yourself in front of rejection and be hashtag table face.
And you know, we have some comments coming in here. Thank you, Steven, so much for your engagement and participation. So he says, so you mean thick-skinned, upfront and open. I've done cold calling door to door. Tough gig. Absolutely. I mean, I believe, you know, we've heard so many stories of people that actually do cold calling or, you know, just door-to-door sales. That is a tough gig that teaches them big lessons, right?
Yeah.
And it's about, you know, actually getting the table on the face many times, which is the table can be the door, right? On the face, right? Many times, but that's okay because there's a ton of no's, but you can work on your pitch. You can work on like many things, right? But after that, everything else seems so easy, easy to execute on that, right? And you know, I want to take a little bit on, you know, our adventure when we actually started the business, right? Because at first, like, it was very scary. We're like, okay, we come from soccer, we come from college, right? We don't really want to work corporate life. What do we do? So at the first, at first, we wanted to make some money, clearly, because we need to feed ourselves. And then, you know, we have bigger goals that we've shared in other episodes. Let us know if you want to know them. But
slide in the DMs.
But we're like, okay, how do we start? We actually need to start selling a service. Why a service? For us meant that it was cash very quickly in our pocket, and then we needed to go execute for them, obviously, to make sure that that's the recurring service that we're you know, getting in the bank, or, you know, help, whatever, providing value, right? So with that, we actually had to put ourselves and actually go out and sell. And you know,
and cold call, my biggest fear at that moment. I mean,
he's like, today I'm calling 20 people, and then we'll come back home and like, how many did you call? 0.
I would literally grab my headset from the PS4, right? I would like put it on with the mic and I start walking around my room. I'm like, I got this, like trying to like put myself in the mindset like, it's okay, I'm gonna call a bunch of people are gonna say yes. And listen to the part, I was already telling myself a bunch of people are gonna say yes, which obviously is good positive reinforcement, right? But as soon as I would get a no, I would get so discouraged.
That's it.
So discouraged.
Game over.
So put a bookmark right there in that comment that I said right now, because I'm gonna come back to that point in a second. All right, you were saying.
I was saying?
Yeah, you were talking about our story in the business and how we got rejected and we had to go door to door.
And door to door, and then FONZI finally sold something at $500 with like his suit. Like, you will never ever see him on a suit ever again. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, it'll be tough.
He'll be very tough.
I mean, if you want to see me on a suit, invite me to your wedding.
Well, yeah. Maybe you spoke at my wedding, and I don't know if like
your wedding, the viewers' wedding. If okay. Sweet. It's gonna be a good time, guys. Invite me.
Invite me too. I like parties. Anyways, so but yeah, I mean, we're gonna be rejected, right? It is part of the game, especially when we're starting up. Even when you're not starting up, let's say bring it to the context of publishing, right?
Yep.
Shoot. That's gonna be challenging.
Yep.
If you have never been in front of a camera, like if you're used to talking to the people that just come to the store and, you know, they come because whatever, right? But being in front of a camera is intimidating. We lived it, right? Yep. We've seen that. We lived it, and that's why we actually published live to remove that friction because we actually have to publish. Like, we made publishing a priority. We made publishing a consistency, and that's the main thing that drives our business today.
Yeah.
So we see the benefits, but it's because we're putting our thoughts, we're putting our ideas in front of people. We're being table-faced, right? In front of
exactly. And not only that, but we actually, this being live helped us embrace our mistakes and be more table-faced, right? Because when we make a mistake, because it happens, right? We don't have right now the possibility of editing this out. It's out there already live.
It's done.
And we're like, oh, okay, we just make fun of that mistake because it's totally normal. People make mistakes and we embrace them and we get stronger, right? So being table face allows you to become a stronger person. And I think we have a cool comment here actually from Steven again.
Yeah, so mindset is the key. Yep. Getting started is the hardest part. Absolutely. Once you've knocked on the first door, it gets easier and easier. So yes, absolutely, totally agree with you, Steven. Thank you so much again for your comment. And yes, the more that you do it, the more that you get comfortable with it, the more that you embrace those no's, because get what? It then becomes a search.
Yeah.
It then becomes a search for that yes. It then becomes a game. It's like, how can I get that yes? And I don't want to just relate it to sales. I also want to relate it to opportunities, partnerships, joint ventures, right? And, one of our like amazing clients that we have now, who turned into a mentor now, a friend, right? It was on a table face moment, right?
Yep.
We were sitting in this computer. We're like, okay, what do we do now? How do we like evolve the business? How do we do this? Who do we partner with that could give us access to other people, right? And we saw this comment on a Facebook feed about a type of post that we executed as a service, right? So this person was asking a very specific question. It's like, how do I do this? So, as normal internet marketers, we want to provide value in social media. We jumped in there and we're like, hey, this post, you can make it very simple, very easy with this tool, right? So we provided the tool, and we got a response back from that person. And that person is like, guys, that's awesome. Thank you so much. But I don't really want to execute on this. I want somebody that execute this for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is an opportunity for us, right? So we jump right in there with the message, and we say like, hey, Mr. Client or future client, can we jump on a call? Because we actually execute on this. That's our service. Yep. So we jumped in the call, we chatted for a little bit, we offer like our service. With the amount of publishing that he wanted to do, there was a certain price that's a fulfillment price so we pitched, right? He's like, oh my, I love it, but talking to this company for a couple of days now. Let me go see what they say, and then I'll get back to you, right? I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's perfect. So one day goes by, second day goes by, third day goes by, and then I listened to a podcast from this guy, right, talking to somebody else that we also had on the show. I'm not going to say the names to protect them, but they know this story. I love them both. And I'm like, he mentions that he already hired his content team. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah, we're like, wait, did you get an email? Is it us?
Is it us? I'm like, no. Did it go to the spam folder? No. Oh my gosh, it's not us. Okay, so we entered like freak out mode, because this meant a very big opportunity in the community that we're starting to serve, right? And we're like, shoot, okay, let me see what I can do. So immediately after, I'm like, instead of just accepting defeat, because that's not an option, we really, really wanted to make this happen, like Howard Schultz make Starbucks happen. We jumped in the videos. We saw what he was doing. We're like, okay, how can we adapt our message to make sure that this reaches out to him, right? And we gave him like a sample batch. At that time, we used to do sample batch. We don't do them anymore. But
it was overkill sample batch.
Yeah, we did like 150 pieces of content out of like one video, which is insane. Yeah. But anyway, so he didn't actually see the whole thing until I actually messaged him again. #TableFace. Right? I'm like, hey, Mr. Future Client, do you have you seen all the content? Like, here's the folder again, here's the layout, here's the thing, here's the website that we built for you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, no, I did not see this content. How much do I owe you? This is insane. This is a lot of stuff. This is amazing. And I'm like, don't worry, you don't owe me anything. Can we just have a conversation? Because we really want to work with you. So he's like, absolutely, let's hop on the phone. So we hopped on the phone, and he's like, guys, I really hired these other people because I was, talking to them, and the price point, to what I can afford right now, we do not meet. And I'm like, #TableFace moment, let's go. I was like, okay, Mr. Future Client, if I can match that pricing, right, can we work together? And he goes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we got a very, very important, not just client, but now friend, now mentor, now person that has been helping us big time in the business, right? We've been on his show, he's been on our show, and many, many other more things to come, which meant a really good opportunity because we were #TableFace, and we actually chased that moment, even though he said that he signed with a different person. Yeah. So I'm just sharing this story because I think it's so powerful.
That's right.
And there's so many opportunities missed, not just on clients, but joint ventures, partnerships, because maybe, right, we're sitting back and we're just sitting right here, like just like this. I'm like, oh, no, I'm just not going to do anything. Like, that's okay. They're just with other people. No, actually go out and say it again. #TableFace. Put it in front of them. Put it in front of them.
Yeah, that's right, guys. And
I got so passionate about it. Do I deserve this?
Let's go. Guys, if you're loving this, please, if you love my brother's passion right now, just smash that like button, that love button. If you're watching this live, if you are listening to the audio, don't forget to share it. Don't forget to share it. You know, we don't know who we can impact with this hashtag table face movement. Now, we actually got a comment here going on. I love it, Steven, dude. He's like, hey, I've gone Facebook Live for 8 days for the first time this week.
Let's go, Steven!
And then he puts, check me out. That's what we call hashtag table face. And then he writes another comment. I am walking the hashtag table face walk. Absolutely love it, Steven. Thank you so much.
This is what it's all about. Man, this is so exciting. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening to this right now you're motivated, you're on fire, and you say, I want to be part of this hashtag table face movement, please send us a DM. We're actually planning on doing some cool shirts with hashtag table face, you know. I think it can be I don't think it can be.
It will be. It will be.
It is.
It's gonna be a thing.
It already is a thing.
Guys, help me prove to my wife that Venezuelan sayings are a thing and make sense.
That's right, guys.
Okay.
So here, I actually so I actually have a few tips that I want to share with you guys.
Yeah.
First, and this one came off an email that I actually read today, which absolutely great email newsletter. It's called Honey Copy. I recommend it for you guys. But he was talking about this story of he was going to this coffee shop, again in the theme of coffee shops, right? You know, like,
Yes.
it's like I don't like coffee shops or something.
Yeah, I know.
So this guy, he's a copywriter. He goes to work at coffee shops, and he said, you know, he glanced over the counter and he saw this beautiful lady that he was like, I'm like a 4th grader with a crush with this college age student, you know, kind of like that platonic love that you're like, oh, I love her so much. Well, he was like that with the barista. So he decided to go and be a table face, hashtag table face.
And his name was FONZI.
no, the story is not me.
Okay.
But don't be surprised if one of these days it is
You
me.
fall in love with the barista.
Yes.
For sure.
So he goes and he asks the barista to go out. He said, hey, would you like to, I would love to take you out. Obviously not for coffee because you work in this coffee shop. And she said no. Then he came again another day and he asked her and she said no. So he says, you know, you got to balance it out. You got to know when you're being a little persistent or creepy. So he stopped and then he realized she was seeing somebody. Okay, cool. But the point here is that, you know, he felt bad, of course, because all of this rejection. And what he's talking about is idealization. What happens when we go into these scenarios, right? We paint ourselves a picture in our mind. And this is, go back to that bookmark that I was talking about here in this podcast. Because we paint our picture of this is going to go this way, right? And again, the power of visualization and positive thinking, we absolutely, you know, believe in that. Yeah. But in these scenarios, sometimes, like immediately in that moment, you're like, oh, I'm going to ask her and she's going to say yes. And you start imagining like how the future of you two will go together, right? And the same goes with a business. Yeah, that's me. My brother is funny at me. Yeah, that's me. And you do this the same with the business, right? Like, oh, I'm going to pitch this person and it's going to go so good. And then we're going to have this business relationship that is going to be absolutely amazing. And then when they come to you and they say no, boom, dreams are shattered, right? And yes, that is absolutely human. And that in some points, it is a good feeling to have. But what I will say to you is sometimes we need to be a little bit more rational about it, right? Mm-hmm. And know that there's a chance of them saying no and accepting that if they say no, it's not going to affect us, but it's only going to make us stronger.
Absolutely.
Again, having those feelings is not bad. Having the feeling of like, oh man, I get rejected and I'm sad. The thing is, don't dwell for too long in those feelings. And that's when we go to tip number 2, which is celebrate the wins and, you know, reinforce the wins, not the losses, right? Because we spend so much time in these negative loopholes, like, oh no, the barista said no to me, I'm so sad, I'm never gonna ask any other girl out. No, it's like, oh man, I get to be sad, yes, I just got rejected, right?
Recognize it,
but
right?
Immediately grab a little band-aid, put it over your heart and say, you know what? There is another cute barista in the next coffee shop. I'm going to go there. I'm going to ask her out.
Don't be a crazy creeper too. Like,
within
the limits of social, like, interactions.
Hashtag table face, hashtag not a creeper. So those are like the 2 tips I have right now, and we're gonna come up with a little bit. So we have some more tips, but for this section, that was it.
So there was an exercise that we actually did when we started to sell like to these brick and mortars, right? And I remember we were like, okay, the 10% challenge, right? The 10% challenge meant that we will actually go out, buy a coffee, and just ask for a 10% discount, no matter what. So we will walk in this, coffee shop. We will just walk in and be like, hey, I want that crazy, frappuccino thing.
Yeah. Wait, before you continue with the story, I do want to give proper credit to who we heard that from. His name is Noah Kagan. So,
really? Yeah. That's him?
Well, that's the first person I heard it from, so that's why I'm giving credit to him. He is absolutely amazing. Go check him out. And also do this challenge. All right, continue.
Yeah. So then, when they're actually about to ring you out for whatever you're buying, you're like, hey, can you give me a 10% discount?
Oh, yeah. People will look like you like crazy.
Yeah. So if you actually want to get over that fear of asking or just putting yourself out there, or hashtag table face, just go out and ask for this discount, right? And they're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
And somehow, sometimes we got discounts. They're like, absolutely. Here's your 10% discount. And it's like, what? And sometimes they'll say, no, I'm sorry. We cannot give you a discount.
Yeah.
Like, okay, sweet. And, that's it. They'll remember you for sure.
Yeah. So I just remember the name, how he calls it, the challenge.
How do they call it?
And it goes perfect with the coffee topic that we got right now. He actually calls it the coffee challenge.
The coffee challenge.
Yeah, he's like, when you go to a coffee shop, ask for 10% off. I remember I've done it quite a few times, and I would be like, I remember in the past, I would kind of like camouflage it to not make it look as, as table face at the moment, right? And that was part of the insecurity. Honestly, I'll be like, oh, you know what? I heard through the grapevine that you guys are offering 10% off. Like, still kind of table face, but not 100% in your face table face.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, you gotta be like, hey, can I get 10% off? And they're gonna be like, why?
Yeah, but sometimes they're gonna be nice, and they're gonna be like, absolutely, yes, I will give you 10. Or they're gonna say like, why? At the time we were still like getting out of school, so I will say, well, I'm a student. Don't you have student discounts?
Yeah,
and they'll be like, oh, yes, I do have a student discount. It's actually 15%. I'm like, perfect.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
So
hashtag win.
Yeah, and that goes back to that tip that we were talking about on, kind of like be okay with the fact that they're gonna that most people are gonna reject you, right? It's totally okay. That's the part of being rational. And is it gonna hurt? Yeah, of course. And actually, it doesn't stop hurting, but you train yourself to move on and move forward, past that.
I actually want to share a little bit of a different story that happened very recently. Very recently, like in the last 3 days, right? We are super honored that we got selected as one of the top 100 marketing firms here in the States for a conference that's happening in December. I think they're changing them to April, right?
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
So while we're having this conversation, right, we have several commitments, and with the family, especially in December, we Hispanics, we party a lot. So we want to stay here in town with our family, especially I have a baby. So my wife won't, we have to do Disney, of course. So having this conversation with this person, and they want to get us there, right? And to this point, there's an expense that we have to follow, and we're like, look, we're actually looking, right, for opportunity, hashtag table face opportunity. We're actually looking for opportunities to actually speak in front of people. So, shameless plug, if you want to talk content, you want to talk content machines, you want to talk content multiplication, and you have a stage, even a digital stage, let us know, because we're looking for opportunities.
Yep.
We can work something out. But for this case, for this event, it was a conference specifically for marketing, 400 people, plus like 5 other conferences around there. And we're like, look, like probably one of the ways that we're able to attend to make this investment so like worthwhile is for us to actually be on stage. And we're not asking to be the keynote speaker, even though like that would be freaking amazing. But hey, can we be a part of like the panels? Can we share our ideas? Can we be on some sort of a stage? Hashtag table face. I promise you, the people that are receiving these calls are not asking to be on stage. So, but we're like, what's the worst it can happen, right? Which is the next point I feel FONZI wanted to say. It's like, think about worst case scenarios. The worst case scenario in that case is they say no. We still go to the conference, we still receive our prize, and then we get back home. But what if they say yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hashtag table face. Well, guess what? This person, we're like, let me see what I can do. Turn around, talk to somebody. He came back and we're like, we actually can give you a spot in one of the panels. So you actually gonna be speaking on this thing. So now we're making the decision to see if we actually can go as far as like the timing with different events and so on. So hashtag table face moment.
Hashtag table face. That's right, guys. And
Yes.
you know, with that, I want to move on to this little point, which is kind of see it as an investment, right?
Yes.
An investment into the uncomfortable. Like, imagine
Ooh.
yourself, where are you gonna be 5 years from now, right? Even 1 year from now. Let's make it 1 year from now. If you decide to embrace the uncomfortable and rejection and put yourself out there consistently, right? Where are you gonna be 1 year from now? You are gonna be the most table face person out there. You're not gonna be afraid of anybody. You're not gonna be afraid of any no's. Is it gonna hurt? Yes, but you're gonna be trained so much at that point, your own body, your own mind, to keep going.
Yeah.
That is gonna be, honestly, is probably one of the best return on investments that you can do.
Just
right?
picture the amount of opportunities you will be in front of.
Yeah.
Picture the amount of partnerships, amount of relationships you're gonna be able to build.
Oh, Steven says, embrace the
Seriously.
cringe. Hey, totally. Hey, it is gonna happen. It is gonna happen. That's right. And you know, like, I love this part of like investing into the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's like an emotional investment, right? Like, and it's gonna be difficult at first. Very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But man, how is it gonna look like when you are able to put yourself in front of any opportunity because you're not afraid of getting rejected,
That's
right?
true.
That, just imagine all the opportunities right now. Close your eyes and think of all the opportunities you could have
we're gonna
in the
leverage.
future if you become hashtag table face.
Take a moment, breathe in,
Breathe out.
imagine those opportunities, visualize and making them a reality.
That's right.
They're gonna happen, guys.
They're
It's
gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. Awesome.
Now, guys.
Good job, guys.
For a table face moment, a message from our sponsors, the BIZBROS, with content momentum, guys. If you have any piece of long form content, right, like this one that you're watching or listening right now, right, any video podcast, please reach out to us. We want to help you create those bite-sized, value-packed assets so you can share them
Yeah.
all over the social media and reach new audiences and grow your business.
Yeah.
So again, if you're interested in that, send us a DM at BizBrosCo on Instagram, or send us a message and on Facebook.com/BizBrosCo.
I want to add a little bit to that too. If you feel
Ooh.
like you're not ready, like to that volume, to that consistency, like with a ton of assets, still reach out to us, because we often talk about that minimal viable content, right? How can you
Yes.
stay consistent over time with the resources and the time that you have right now, right? Even if you don't have a team, that's okay, right? How do we achieve consistency? So that's how we actually started almost a year ago now with the
Yeah.
publishing game, like going 45 days straight of Facebook Lives, right? Just like Steven said here, like
There we
day
go.
8, go Steve, right? Keep going, my man, keep going, right? So if you have questions, how do I do this? Like, what's the best medium for me? Like, reach out. We're happy to help. We're happy to have those conversations, and then we can show you guys, if you're curious, how does content momentum works, and then from there, hopefully, we can help you out.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Absolutely.
I love it. I mean, this.
I think
I
this
love
turned
this
out to be one of our favorite episodes.
Yeah, this has been one of my favorite episodes so far. So if if you feel the same way, if you feel like this has been one of your favorite Content is Profit episodes, please don't forget to smash that like button, or turn it into a little heart, that love button as well. We'll take it. If you are listening, don't forget to share it. Or if you're watching, don't forget to share it as well, right? This can be super helpful for somebody that you know and they're waiting for this moment and this message. So please, again, don't forget to share it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before we leave, we actually have usually some action points, right?
Yeah, you wanna start sharing, or you want me to like just like blah 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 blah?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Me?
You
Or
start.
you?
Yeah, no,
Me?
you start. Yeah.
Oh man, okay.
Just so you guys know,
The first action
I want to paint the picture for people here. So he says, "Do you want to go?" Because here in the notes, the action point section is blank. Because when we were putting this together, we were like, man, there's so many action points. What are we going to put? We don't know yet, right? And then it's like, okay, let's go with the flow. And so he asked me, do you want to go first? Because there's still nothing here. And he wants to throw me under the bus. But me, I want to throw him under the bus at the same time.
He threw the bus back at me. Okay.
And I'm like, no, you go now.
All right, I got the first one.
All right, let's go one each.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Mine is going to be the next time you go buy coffee or anything in the gas station, ask for your 10% discount.
Yep.
Without expecting anything. Go be like, hey, thank you so much. Hey, will you please give me a 10% discount? And see what happens, right? It's gonna feel very uncomfortable, but then I challenge you to do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and this is gonna help you whenever you have to do those calls, cold calling, or talking to that uncomfortable client that you might not want to talk about. It's gonna make it better. Always go back to that moment and be like, okay, it probably won't be worse than that.
Yep, absolutely. Now, my action point is go and look at your to-do list, right? And I want you to see that element in your to-do list that has been there for the longest time because you are so afraid of doing it and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's gonna, it is awkward. I don't want to ask this person or make that sale, whatever it is in that to-do list. And I want you to think, what is the worst it can happen if it goes bad, right? Like what if it's a sales call? What is the worst thing it can happen if they say no, right? I mean, you're going to be in the same exact situation that you are right now if you don't call them. So actually, it's going to be better because you're going to have the stress that you have because you have to make that call is going to be non-existent because you made it and they just said no. And your life is still going the same, right? But there's a big probability they're going to say yes. So my table-faced action point of the day is go look at that to-do list, grab the most uncomfortable task that you have to do, and think to yourself, what is the worst that can happen? And then do it.
Yes.
And then do it.
We have some comments coming in. It's like, can I have one of your #TableFace t-shirts when you get them printed? Absolutely. Yes.
Wait, look at the next comment.
Or have the 10% off. What about this? We actually gonna, when they're printed, Steve, you're gonna actually know this. I'm gonna send you a quick DM.
Yes.
Screenshot that comment, save it. So when we have them, so when we actually have these t-shirts for sale, you can show me the 10% and we'll absolutely give you a 10%. Thank you so much for taking action. If you want to chat about any kind of the services that we do, any kind of things, go in. I'm happy. Yes.
I'm like stuttering here. I think we should just give Steven the free shirt. Man, look, he hung out with us the full episode live. Steven, you are the MVP of today's Content is Profit episode, man. Thank you so much.
So
really appreciate it.
So no 10%, but free.
Yeah,
there you go.
Table face, man. He asked for it.
Let's go.
You deserve it, Steven. Thank you so much.
Just let us know what size you're.
Yeah, exactly. Just send us at the end with the size and screenshot this so we don't forget. Please screenshot it and keep it safe. So when we announce it, if by any chance we don't remember and reach out to you specifically, feel free, send us a DM and we will send that shirt to you.
Guys, for you listening, if you guys want the #TableFace t-shirt, send us a DM. This has been an awesome episode. This was so much fun.
I'm loving it, yeah.
Should we keep bringing guests? I don't think so.
We are going to keep bringing those good guests, guys.
Yes, we are.
And I can't wait to see what assets we're going to come up from this episode.
Baby.
They're going to be fire.
So fire.
Absolute fire, guys. And I think we did it. Good job. Fist bump. Yeah, that was a good one.
Guys, don't forget to actually go ahead and subscribe to the Content is Profit podcast. Follow us on social media at BIZBROS.com.
Oh, I just headbutt the mic stand, guys. And if you find this episode impactful, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review, guys. Thank you. Don't forget.
Thank you.
Be a table face.